Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Real Sports Updates here. Back again with another video. So, we just got some news this morning. Very welcome news. Sony Michel is now a Los Angeles Charger. So the Chargers went ahead and pulled the trigger on that, and you went ahead and cut Larry Roundtree in a subsequent move. This was a great move. I think this is one of the moves that can be talked about later, right? If the Chargers go on and have success, and they have playoff success, this can be a move that can be talked about, very underrated. But I think this was a move that had to happen. As good of a preseason and as good of a training camp that Joshua Kelly had, there was some questions as far as the third running back goes. Obviously the Chargers drafted Isaiah Spiller. We expect him to play and do some things this season. But as far as a veteran presence, as far as a guy who you can just count on, who is a steady, solid rock in the running back room, there really wasn't that guy, right? Outside of Austin Eckler, there really wasn't a guy, who you're looking at and saying, oh, this guy for sure is going to be steady all season long. He's going to do exactly what he needs to do. There was question marks in the running back room, and I think a lot of those question marks disappear with Sony Michel now being a Los Angeles Charger. Now, obviously, Sony Michel, he is a two-time Super Bowl champion. He was drafted by the New England Patriots coming out of college. He had a fantastic college career at University of Georgia. He was one of many talented running backs at the University of Georgia. He was drafted in the first round. He won a Super Bowl his first year in the NFL. And, he was kind of put in the doghouse by Bill Belichick. I think a lot of people really looked at that and they kind of were down on him because of it. And I don't think any of it was his fault. I don't think it was a great fit, to be honest with you. And we can see that now with Belichick's drafting. He's not a great drafter. The people in the New England Patriots building are not great when it comes to drafting players. It was kind of hard to see back then when they were winning Super Bowls, but now we can see that this was probably their fault. Sony Michel was explosive. He was used in a very explosive way at Georgia. And when he came into the league with the Patriots, they had a very unconventional running game. Their running game was pretty much a short passing game to running backs, and that's kind of how they played. James White, Sony Michel, he was a guy, he was okay at catching passes out of the backfield, but he was a running back, right? He's a running back more so than he is a pass catching running back in the James White kind of mold. It seems like that's what they were trying to make him, but he just wasn't that. And they did not use him correctly. So, he gets on Belichick's, he gets on the doghouse list, and, he ends up getting traded to the Rams. And, I think last year was a very huge year for Sony Michel, and it really showed the type of player he is, and it really showed the type of, leadership that he has, and the qualities of a football player that he has. Everything is going down for him, right? He's in the doghouse, he gets traded, right? But he shows up in LA for the Rams, and I don't know if anybody remembers, but the Rams had some injuries at running back, right? Obviously, Cam Akers, he tore his Achilles last training camp, so he didn't end up playing into the playoffs. Darrell Henderson was the guy for them, but he ended up getting hurt. Sony Michel was a guy, he was third on the depth chart, but for a while there in the middle of the season, Sony Michel carried the Rams running game. I think he had like 4 straight games over 100 yards or something like that. He was running hard. He was doing his job. He was catching the ball out of the backfield. He was pretty good in pass protection as well, too. Sony Michel played a key cog in the Rams Super Bowl year last year. If they don't have Sony Michel, I don't think the Rams win the Super Bowl, because they probably end up losing a few of those games in the middle of the season where they had those running back injuries. So Sony Michel really showed up for the Rams last year. He was big. He was very big. He doesn't get talked about, but that's a guy, he came in and he did his job. And, because he did his job, the Rams are Super Bowl champions, right? Reigning, defending Super Bowl champions. But it took a guy like that to come in and do his job in order for a team to kind of get over the hump. So, a lot of people are not really, if you're not really on this move, or you're kind of just looking at this move like it's whatever, remember the big role that he played last year for the Rams. They are not Super Bowl champions without him. People need to remember that. And a lot gets made of guys who were former Patriots, right? Former New England Patriots, Super Bowl champions. A lot gets made about them, but again, I think we see now that Tom Brady is not with the Patriots anymore. I think we can see now that Bill Belichick obviously would not have been as successful as he is without Tom Brady. Tom Brady did a lot for that organization, and he kind of was the Band-Aid there. Even with all Belichick's bad drafting and his bust free agent signings, Brady was clearly the guy that made everything go. But I think when you're looking at former New England Patriots, right, there's always been this misconception that guys who play for the Patriots are going to be, franchise-saving players, right? Game changers. They are going to be guys who are going to, bring you to the promised land, right? There's always been this misconception about these guys. And I think, especially early in the Patriots dynasty, right, where you see guys who were signing really big contracts, the Richard Seymours, right, when he got traded to the Raiders, he signed a big contract. Willie McGinnis, I think he signed like a big contract with the Browns. There's a couple other guys, too, who went to other teams who got really big money because they were Super Bowl champions. And, a lot of those guys ended up being consider, I guess, bust, maybe free agent bust and things like that. But they were not looked at the way that they should have been looked at, right? All of these guys who played, the big roles in New England, they were cogs, right? They were just cogs on a wheel that, just pretty much played their positions, to perfection, right? And it was able to get the Patriots over the hump several times in order for them to win, all the Super Bowls that they have. But these guys are cogs on a wheel. They're not superstars, right? They're not guys who are going to come in and change your franchise. They're not guys who are going to come in and just completely change everything that you're doing, right? You have to have things in order, right? You have to have stuff. You have to have other players. You have to have, your roster has to be filled out. You have to be well-rounded, offensively, defensively, whatever, right? You have to have other things when you bring in these guys who have won Super Bowls in New England. And I think the Chargers are doing a pretty good job of this, right? You see another guy in Kyle Van Noy. He was a cog in the wheel, right? He helped the Patriots, win Super Bowl. And, he was a guy that obviously, he wasn't the big star and all of that stuff. But again, he played his position the way he needed to play it. In order for the Patriots to win, you can say the same thing about J.C. Jackson, even though he is more of a star. But again, he played his position to perfection in order to, have the Patriots get over that hump, right? Whatever the hump was, right? Kansas City, the Rams, whatever they had to do, right? They had to be stout enough at their position. They had to be good enough at their position for Belichick to trust them. And then, it allowed them to win. So now, you're looking at guys from the Patriots, Super Bowl champions, as cogs on the wheel. And I think this team, the Chargers, are looking at this. They're playing this the right way. They are not obviously Sony Michel is not going to come out and have, 1,000-yard season or whatever. But he's going to be a guy, if there's any injury, if guys go down, he's a guy you can count on out of the backfield. He's a guy who can run the ball, right? He can give you 25 carries if you need it, right? He can give you 25 carries if you need it. He can give you 5 carries if you need it. He can catch the ball out of the backfield. He can block. He can do all of these different things. So this was an important signing. And, this might get glossed over, once the season starts. But this is a good signing. And I'm very, very excited about this. You really can't say enough about the type of person, the type of competitive spirit that a guy like Sony Michel has. When everything is going against you and your back is against the wall, for you to show up, another team, new city, be able to just ball and handle the workload like that. You can't say enough about this guy. So I'm really excited to have him on this Chargers team. And I expect him to have an impact, right? Whether that be in the meeting room, on the field, wherever. He is just going to be a guy that's going to be steady all 17 weeks. He's going to be steady. So I'm excited to have him in the running back room. Again, great move by Tom Telesco, Brandon Staley. Got this team better, even after the cut day. So I'm excited. And if you're a Charger fan, you should definitely be excited for this move. But I just wanted to come on here and just talk about that. Very, very excited for this move. That's all I got for this video, guys. If you are not subscribed to the channel, please consider subscribing to the channel. I'll be having much more content coming out. This has been a crazy couple of days in the NFL, but I love it. This is great content, and a lot of things to get into, a lot of things to talk about and discuss. So I'm having fun. But don't forget to hit the thumbs up on the way out as well too. I'll be back tomorrow with much more content. Thank you guys for all your support, and until next time.